Universal reuse is the ability for an organisation to be able to make content available to anybody across any department that needs it. So finding information that the organisation has already created and being able to find that quickly, easily and have context around should this information be reused in my different project or purpose. And a very good example of this is I might find something that tells me that this piece of information, this small unit of information, has been created and authorised by the organisation and is reused in maybe 200 other channels, from sales presentations, contracts, websites, proposals, etc. Now I might also find a very similar piece of information which is almost identical, and that will tell me that the context will tell me that information is now obsolete. Now historically I might have gone to that information first because I'm familiar with it. But universal reuse lets me understand what assets the organisation has and which assets they want me to use, but also gives me guidance around which ones not to use that I might have instinctively used previously. Universal reuse matters because organisations spend a lot of time and energy creating content. It's an asset. And when you have a large pool of assets, you want to ensure that the assets are earning their keep. As an organisation communicates with its internal staff or with its clients, being able to speak with one voice or have a communication that is consistent across all channels is critical. Clients particularly don't want to get different conversations going through different channels with the same organisation if that can be avoided. So universal reuse allows the single unit of authorised information to be distributed and shared and distributed across all of the channels that a customer will engage with. Content can be used to change behaviour as well. And if we think of some examples, particularly in training or e-learning or performance support, where again we have a piece of content that we would like to use and we've linked back to what is the behaviour that we want from the consumers of this content. It could be staff members or it could be clients or even prospective clients. And when we're looking to change behaviour, it's not just is the content available, is it well written? Can we track and see are the organisation's objectives around this content being met? Do skills increase and support calls reduce? Do people buy more quickly and do they buy more comfortably based on the information they've been able to get? So those are two examples of behaviour change where content is directly influencing what the organisation wants to achieve and being able to measure that it is achieving that. I can give you a good example of how content is being used to change behaviour in a particular vertical market. And if we look at something that's highly regulated like life sciences or medical devices, where the information that is provided to the user must meet certain external guidelines, so criteria, legal requirements that might be different in different jurisdictions or different based on the product. And in one example, let's say for prescribing medication, because prescription medications must adhere to a set of guidelines for dosages and patients, but also what other medicines might the patient be taking and what are the side effects of combining medications. When an organisation, or a prescribing doctor I should say, would like to find out, I have a patient that presents with these issues, if I prescribe this medication, what do I need to be aware of? Now traditionally, the life sciences company would provide that information and it would be large. It would be very, very long documents that wouldn't specifically answer the question, but would provide a lot of information that would help the prescribing physician make their own decision. What's traditionally called post-sales content can impact pre-sales decisions. There is evidence to show that, particularly for technical buyers who have an understanding of what they need, that one of the channels they will go to for information is not necessarily the sales team first, but what information has been written around the product. And that's not just by the vendor themselves, but also, does this gel with what I see on social media or community forums? Is the information consistent? Do people respond well to the information that has been provided by the vendor for post-sales purposes, and therefore will influence my decision about whether or not to become a client? It is possible for inconsistent content to damage an organisation's brand or its reputation with its clients. And this is a classic example that does lead us back to the idea of universal reuse, where your clients will engage with you traditionally across multiple channels: training, support material, product documentation, and possibly historical installation or implementation information as well. Now again, if a user would like to find out something particular or has expectations from one channel of documentation, and those expectations are not the same across all channels of information that they receive from your organisation, then yes, absolutely, you can damage the brand or the customer's perception. At the very least, you are increasing some dissonance where there is uncertainty and a devaluation of trust that that client might have with dealing with your organisation.